Hello, folks. Welcome to our match of the day right now. Team Stand-In versus Gaming. Not able to bring you picks and bans, but we can sort of talk through it. Take a look at the top. You know, you see that Shock, that Sylvanas, and even Thor. Nemesis is a great pick into those.
Yeah, Nemesis a very good pick into those on the other side. I mean, Thor is a playmaker. He sort of determines the play, and this Scylla, just pick later on. She has to be, right? But picking Scylla into Thor is, I think it's a little bit of that. I don't want to straight up say hubris, but I think it can be foolhardy. So we're gonna need to see a lot out of Perplexus, because if he gets ganked, he's gonna be put in a really tough position. While Scylla is safe, not safe enough. No one is safe from Thor.
I mean, it worked last game. We saw the Isis pick the counter Vulcan and just completely turned it around to the point where there's some interesting conversations going on. It's just a counter to Vulcan because of how well Base of the Face played that. You can see how player skill can completely turn around what should be a count and whatnot. So Perplexus, it's, as you said, completely up to that Scylla player to see if we'll be able to do it. But taking a look at we got about 45 seconds till minions. Let's take a look at our teams on the side of Team Stand-In. We've got obviously the worst going to be in the jungle on that Nemesis. Starkey and Xenotronics making up the Geb Apollo lane on steroids. Community member used to put on community tournaments, if I'm not mistaken, in the soul lane on that Hercules, and Purposes middle lane Scylla.
On the other side, Resist Gaming in a very strong new roster. You've got Austin the Max in the soul lane, and Shot Chaos in the jungle as Thor Nintendude 64 in the mid lane. Historically a jungler on Yanis. Hudat in the support role on Sylvanas, and Pantheon in the hunter role as on her. And Pantheon definitely a rising hunter through ranks, and maybe not rising anymore. He's sort of been there for a while. It just still has a few little bits to go, and so this entry into competitive might be exactly what he needs to really hit the level of some of the top competitive hunters.
Yeah, we've seen the high levels of rank. I mean, that's sort of the stepping stone. We've seen other, I guess, comparable hunters to really throw them at would be the Paradox or Madman Mark. Players that have been in and around the competitive scene, just not quite there. A little more wet behind the ears, making a transition from ranked into the competitive scene now. Excited. This is what I get excited about. I feels like recently that Kuda was one of these people. So Pantheon could be the next big thing. You just know. This is where you get to see it. Resist Gaming, Team Stand-In.
Yeah, there was a time where we said, who the hell is Barracuda? Isn't he some casual? But and it's funny because that's literally what people said. Invading on the left-hand side is Resist Gaming. They're in strong form here and should be able to get the speed buff. Gavin Apollo heading to contest, but that could end up a foolhardy endeavor. Starkey coming in, will be rooted out, taking damage from the unstable Vortex. Double tap, not quite connecting. Chaos needs one more hit. The portal will be enough. Nintendo taking first blood. Speed pulled again. Xenotronics is here, but he's going to be zoned off. Interrupted out of the dash. Not quite completely by Pantheon.
4 members getting out of the jungle first, but within 2 minutes, that's going to look good for Resist Gaming. So it's going to be a great look for the team in red, already up by about 1,000 gold, which isn't much, but situationally it is. And there's that escape from Scylla we talked so much about. Perplexus able to just barely get away by the skin of the teeth. Good dunk, good attack by Chaos. But next time when that dunk is available, Cret, I don't know if Scylla will be as safe.
Well, and the solo lane Herc for Shock once again, and this time on steroids, a little bit on the back foot. Shock building defensive, and Hercules going into the Steel Mail. So what this means is he's going to go into a Mystical Mail, or at least he should. There are 4 options he can build onto, but it should be a Mystical Mail. And up until that point, he's actually going to have a lot of trouble because you don't really have anything to help you clear. Now, on Story is very low. Thunderstrike, Tempest into the tower. Awesome Max finding a kill. Too much damage from archers there. Often underestimated how little physical protection does up against minions in the early game.
Exactly what I was about to say. People, not only just people coming from different games, but newer Smite players, even tenured Smite players tend to underestimate the damage that minions can do early game. Geb thinking that Resist Gaming was going to go right for those heartbeats. Walked in, but now just taking so much damage. With a good stun, that should be a dead Geb one more time. Kill goes to Chaos. Jungler picks up another kill. That's 101 on the Thor. With that, level 5 is hit. Ultimate up, ultimate down. Good stun in the back line, ignoring the middle laner, but obviously the worst, able to get out. Bad communication on that portal, and the double tap misses. Ultimate coming out from Giannis is ultimately not going to be consequential at all. The two members of Team Standing will sit underneath their tower.
It is important to note that B's one were used by Perplexes there, so the next gank might work. Well, still is a little tough to gank with that teleport, at least until Alex is in the game. Oblower is forced to back off. Minions have been so strong for Resist Gaming so far. The left-hand lane on her is fighting 0-1v2, and every lane is winning, which is a great way to start your match.
Every single lane is winning for Resist Gaming here at the 420 mark. 3 kills to 0 going the way of the red team, and just not anything that Team Stand-In has really been able to do in lane. So they have to really get their victories out of lane. It's up to this Nemesis to really sort of turn things around, sort of spurn a fire. They're not out of the game. I mean, we're 4 minutes in. There's a 1,300 gold lead. Team Stand-In definitely very much still in this, but I think it's going to revolve around the Nemesis because these individual lanes just seem to be having a problem. Scylla should turn around as she's more potent mid and late than she is early, but outside of that, I think the lanes have sort of made their mark.
Definitely have. Heading back to the middle lane is Nintendo 64. Longtime jungle player, often for Resist Gaming, but not the whole time. Has played on a variety of different teams. But yeah, switching from jungle into mid lane is interesting because they're sort of opposite and complementary roles. We talk about mid jungler synergy. It's similar to support ADC in that, like, if you're gonna go from one role to another, Hunter's going to support makes sense, and Jungler's going to mid makes sense. I mean, think about Lasses originally making it as a mid player and then ending up as a jungler, so there's precedent.
There's a lot of precedent. I mean, it's all about the knowledge of the game, and jungle and support tend to be the positions where you have a little bit more knowledge of the game because you're floating around and doing all sorts of stuff. But let's talk a little bit about this Scylla crit. I think that the Scylla will have to turn it around here. Scylla has a notoriously horrible early game, and Resist Gaming did their homework and really went to the spreadsheet and figured that out. They understood where they were going to have problems, and they ganked Scylla twice already. Whether or not she's died is a different story, but they put pressure on Scylla, and that's a big, big, big deal. As we move past this, Scylla has rank 2 boots. Once she hits around level 8, that crush starts to clear the wave relatively efficiently. We're going to look to see a turnaround here, and Scylla versus the mid lane matchup of Giannis should become a little closer, and I don't think this 37-33 lead, I think that 400 gold will shrink as long as Scylla does everything right.
Well, and also, honestly, it's not that bad of a matchup for Scylla. Because Yanis is weak on clear too. He's not that great at clearing. Certainly not as bad as Scylla, but not that much better, and really only saved by his lower cooldown on Unstable Vortex. So Scylla can sort of get by, and then there's the big power spike. About level 13, level 14, when you get rank 3 of your ultimate, rank 5 of your Sikkim, and rank 5 of your Crush, that's when Scylla becomes a big deal. Yes. And that's the point in the game where, in all earnestness, it starts, and you're waiting for the perfect fight. Because that's the thing about Scylla, and other characters like her, Habwa. If a game goes on long enough, eventually you will play a fight perfectly and kill everyone.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
the goal.
We saw that. It was a very memorable game. 5 Angry Men, the best, was playing Scylla in the solo lane. One of the earlier games we saw, he transitioned to play gods like Chalk and Vamana, but early in his solo lane career was just playing gods he played in the mid game. He lost his lane. They were losing the game. They were losing the game by a decent amount, and then a fight in the left-hand lane. He gets a pentakill with 5 perfect Scylla ults and wins the game for his team after trailing for 30-something minutes. That's just what Scylla can do. Trying to avoid the invade is the red team. Great dunk! They're looking for more.
Speed buff will drop to resist, and they're going to be able to take it and back out, not using the portal, strangely enough, and heading over back to the middle lane. Gold Fury is available, and Resist Gaming is starting to get the sort of lead where they can pressure that. They're up 2,000 gold, 2,000 experience, and at the 6-minute mark, that might not sound like a lot, but it's a fairly substantial advantage right here. I wouldn't call it a lead, but they can do stuff with what they have.
I think Resist Gaming is playing very intelligently. Like I said earlier, they
pull on to Starkey.
Oh, perfect. He's got a great knock-up. He needs to get out and go underneath tower. He does successfully, so it's all good. Right side Nemesis ultimate onto the Chuck. Great knock-up. Will it be enough? About 40% HP. There's a good active hit and a good kick coming out from On Steroids. Not enough from the ultimate to kill him. And Nintendo64 comes around, throws the Unstable Vortex one more time, taking out the jungler. Perplex is not able to get enough damage from that Scylla ult. Monster She is not. Goes back into the lane.
I think On Steroids miscalculating there. Just the boulder seems like such a high damage ability, but if you're not careful with understanding how you're building Hercules, going into a steel mail and then into combat boots, not finishing either item, he's not really good at anything specific right now. He can move decently well and he's decently tanky. He's not super tanky with the mystical mail, and he's not very mobile with the high damage of the warrior tabi. So as a result of that, no penetration boulder, just not doing too much. Once he gets those warrior tabi online, that boulder's going to be hitting a lot harder.
Yeah, the base protections actually mean a decent amount. Let's talk a little bit about the intelligence of Resist Gaming here, though. We mentioned how they were just attacking the Scylla because Scylla has poor early game. They made a note of that, and that's what they wanted to do. Then I had mentioned that it's up to Nemesis to win the game because the lanes have just been beat individually, 1, 2, 3 across the board. So what do? They blow 2 ultimates to steal a speed buff from that Nemesis. Blowing it all, just knowing that they know where the pressure points are on this team, Cret, and they're not afraid to really put the vice grips on specific individual parts of the team, and that's all in all why they have a 3,000 lead just 8.5 minutes in.
Well, let's be honest, our game only has a 90-second cooldown on the vast majority of the ultimates. You gotta use them for something. Might as well be an invade. And speaking of invades, on the left-hand side, Resist Gaming is prepping to take down this blue. They're going to pull it, auto-attack, blue will fall. And so Chalk right now, finishing his Runeforge Hammer and his combat boots, has hit in earlier timing than Hercules on sort of what he's building, which is natural. He's building cheaper items, but it also means that Chalk's got a nice advantage right here. And On Steroids will be forced to lose a little bit of gold. A tower has actually disconnected, and a short pause coming out from Team Stand In. Under tower in the middle lane, they are down. It's getting pretty big now. 3,000 gold, 4,500 experience. About to transition into the mid game, really starting at 10 minutes. And this is really the kind of lead that can quickly grow, especially when no objectives have gone down.
Exactly. That is a key point. It is raw lead. A lot of times you hear casters and people talk about the individual gold lead, and it's it's a 1,500 gold lead, folks. Well, there are 3 tier 1 towers off the board. That's 1,500 gold. They're really not in the lead at all if you go get a couple of tier 1s, which aren't really that difficult to pick up. So this is a lead. No gold furies, no structures, no towers. It's all just raw kills and farming. 2,813 gold in the lead is Resist Gaming. So that's all raw, real, tangible Fort Knox lead right there. There is no faith-based currency today, folks. Resist Gaming just leading it out. This just in, though. 5 Angry Men makes their way to the finals, taking a step through Archway Esports before claiming their spot in the finals. So the winner of this matchup, Team Stand-In versus Resist Gaming, will face them in a best of 3.
Oh, in the middle lane, blinking in with the ultimate, Terra's Embrace. Thor coming down, finds the kill to Berserk Barrage. Now Starkey, great use of the through space and time as well. Resist Gaming comboing those ultimates perfectly. 1, 2, 3. Great way to use through space and time for damage. They're rewarded with the Gold Fury.
Apollo going up in the air. Gold Fury being adjusted by Resist. What can this guy do? Xenotronics looking for something. Just takes a lap. Taking the scenic route around. Wants to watch them take it. I guess he was looking for an opportunity to get a knock-up or whatnot. See if they were low. I'm going to call that one a satellite ult, Cret. 1v4 against the Gold Fury. You're not going to do anything. But the information gained is decent enough.
That's why you should get Hog 3 on Apollo in your North American ranked games.
Stop.
Speed buff invade coming out again. This is what you should do in your North American ranked games, and it is going to go once again to resist. Team Stand-In wants to contest here, but there's not much that they're going to be able to do. Just putting a little bit of poke onto the Sylvanas. Yen is zoning out. His portal has been used, but Obdurus knows he can't go in because it would be a 1v4. Perplexus, level 12, needs 2 more to really hit his stride in this game.
Pantheon looking at his own blue buff this time around. Not an invade coming out from Resist Gaming. One of the first times. Well, if we take a look at the timers, speed buff down, blue buff down, red and blue buff down. We'll see if Resist continues their reign of terror in the jungle. But for the moment, 11 minutes in, 7 kills to 0. 5,000 raw gold up. Assistance from the Gold Fury. But that's about it. Right-hand side, aggressed on is the Hercules.
Yeah, not really going to work out too much because it's
As
a
I
Hercules.
said, aggressed on is the Hercules, so nothing really happens. But
yeah, I mean, he's just not worth ganking at this point. You've got to
really
Chalk
isn't.
into Thor. Thor's a burst damage character, doesn't have the sustained damage needed. Chalk is eventually going to be a sustained damage character by way of you can't get rid of him. You know, probably just with chin size or whatever standing in your face, can't peel him off, can't get rid of him, can't make him go away. But for now, he's just kind of beefy. Don't need to gank this Hercules. Just relieve pressure if it happens and chill.
This solo lane right here, on steroids, as we said, used to put on community tournaments, and awesome to the max is a Monster Cat song named after himself. Chalk versus Hercules, we should not look at this lane for a long time. This is the fabled 22-minute solo lane. Junglers should not come over here. Mid lane should not rotate. There really is nothing to happen in the solo lane, is there, Kret?
Well, okay, so the only thing to mention is one of Herc's problems is that he sort of has to choose between threat and clear, right? Like, you're using your driving strike to clear, and you need that to do damage to your opponent, so you gotta do one or the other.
You can do
Mr.
it on
Mark
steroids
changes
just did
that.
and throw the ultimate.
Yeah, you can do that to clear as well. And that's honestly not a bad decision if you're going to recall, but Mystical Mail changes that because you can just clear passively with the aura. And so that allows you to be a little bit more of a threat. He should take the lane advantage, assuming he didn't get too far behind getting to that point, getting to that Mystical Mail, which he did. Unfortunately, as he's sitting down 1,200 gold individually. But oftentimes, Hercules would get a lot of lane pressure right now, and every so often that just needs to be rotated on and relieved. Not that big of a deal, though.
Mid-camp spawning, 13 minutes. Right-hand side goes to the blue team. Left-hand side split perfectly will go to the red team. A little bit of aggression, but a missed pull will stop Whodat from really looking for the 8th kill along the way. But down comes Thor! And there it is. Kill number 8 going the way of Chaos. That going to be the 3rd kill on the Thor. Coupled with his 4 assists, Chaos looking very strong in this matchup.
You know you're ahead when you can miss your hammer on a stun target and get the kill anyway. Chaos is going to find that one. Starkey under tower getting engaged on Berserker Barrage into the portal. Tower is the goal. Pullback in the wall, not doing too much. Is slightly miscommunicated, but the Unstable Vortex on cooldown will find the kill. Yen is far enough ahead that having no penetration doesn't really matter.
Pretty much. We talked a lot about how much impact the penetration has, but at a certain point, I mean, it's not a linear. You know, there's like a curve and avoiding all sorts of mathy turns.
Stuff.
At some point, raw damage and power will outperform penetration. It's usually at an absurd point. We have tons more experience in the way, but I mean, there's 10,000 gold experience differential for the team in red, and the mid lane just almost got one shot. So right now, just pure numbers being able to carry this team as is.
I mean, the thing is, with a little bit more penetration, he would get like 75 more damage on his Unstable Vortex, 50 to 75. He's just so far ahead that he doesn't need it. So the cooldown reduction's nice to have. I don't want to say better, because it's so flexible and changeable, but it's really nice to have that CDR when you don't feel you need that extra damage.
Red buff going down to the correct team for the first time all game. Team Stand-In claim their own damage buff around the 15-minute mark. That'll be their first red buff. That is honestly a bigger deal than it seems for Team Standard
Yeah.
trailing by 6,000 gold. Being able to claim that red buff is experience and damage for the Scylla. Just going to go ahead and pick that. It's more important for the damage, honestly. We talked about how they're down 6,000 gold. Red buff isn't going to make up for it, but it should bring her closer to her enemy. Good engagement to the right-hand side. Couple of ultimates, lots of them.
And now Awesome to the max could be in a bit of trouble, down to just 300 health. Not that tanky, doesn't have his boots finished, so he's a little slow. But he could bait it out as Thor's up in the air, comes back down, finding 2. Blinking through a portal out is Chalk. Now it's a 2-on-4 Chaos low in health. Nintendo, though, perfectly healthy and will force his opponents to back up. Resist Gaming effectively winning that fight 3v4. Apollo coming in, so 3v5. And Awesome Max will fall, but it's worth it because the Gold Fury will fall as well. Also interesting to note, Awesome Max going Transcendence Chalk. Really never gonna have to worry about mana ever.
Transcendence Shock is an interesting choice. I'm going to ask you to expand on that, but first I just want to point out the beautiful play by Resist Gaming here. They went hard a little bit. You had Shock really just running the entire fight in the right-hand side. It was Chalk with a little bit of presence from someone else, but it was basically just Chalk, which allowed the dual lane to open up and just take uncontested Gold Fury. It was a beautiful play, and it was calculated. It definitely was understood that there would be 2 fights going on at the same time, and the dual lane was able to take the Gold Fury.
So currently Chalk is getting around 70 physical power from this Transcendence. It's a very high stacking item, and the idea is that 70 physical power going into his abilities will help him out a lot. The problem is it doesn't actually work that way, and penetration would be better for him. Just because all characters gain physical protection per level, and the percent damage reduction from that protection on the base values would result in more damage by getting a penetration item. So I really don't like this pickup, unless he plans on going into a rage or something, but even that's a little strange.
I like last item Transcendence because of a number of reasons, but left-hand side, big engagement. Resist Gaming biting off a lot here. Very interesting choice. Lots of aggression. Might be a little bit too much. Nintendo very low, 10%. Tank as well. Hudat trying to save his Giannis. Not able to. Stunned out. Looking for damage from the side. Down comes Thor. Can they turn it around? Hudat very low. Gets killed by the So Beautiful, but not before Thor claims a life. Here comes Transcendence Shock. 1 goes down to the wayside, 2 goes down to the wayside, while Chaos on the backside spins to win on another enemy. That's going to be a 4-for-1 trade. Sylvanas the only one dead, and that's a support for the Deicide. That is every support's dream. If we're going to get the Deicide, I'm okay with dying. 5-for-1. Resist Gaming leads 14-2.
Transcendent play coming out of Resist Gaming. They are going to be able to take this middle tower. Not enough time to really pressure a Phoenix. Maybe could try Fire Giant. Hudat has respawned. They have all auto attackers. The damage is going to be okay. They're going to head over and pull it. It will go on to Awesome and Max. They've got their honor. Need to drop that pillar for the extra damage. Through space and time, will get the mid and support back to the engagement, so good call using that ultimate. And this Fire Giant should go to resist, but it's not going to be clean as Starkey shows up. He's going to need to be killed first. Fire Giant not going to reset here, but a little bit more damage coming out than... oh, it does reset.
Yep,
that's
reset.
Unfortunate. Yeah, someone just stepping out of range.
That's gonna force Resist Gaming to go ahead and go back. Another satellite ult from Apollo on Team Stand-In, just trying to get some vision to see if they got the Fire Giant or not. So I mean, all in all, we watched Starkey die. We watched Gab walk in and die and lose his life for nothing. But if you take a more intrinsic look, that is almost as good as stealing the Fire Giant. You prevented them from getting it.
Great play.
That is your goal. Again, we saw Resist Gaming lose their to get a Deicide. You're feeling okay about that death. Support for Team Stand-In prevented a Fire Giant just by being a good enough distraction. That's a win in his book.
Yeah, really well played by Starkey there. Best death I've seen all game, and I mean that sincerely. Like, that was completely worth it. That was fantastic. Everything about that. He played it perfectly. Tactical feeding.
Yeah, I
all
mean that's the
seriousness.
actual definition of tactical feeding.
Well, and especially when he's 0-6, he's not worth anything.
Yeah, you see, and like that is the actual. We hear it joked around a lot by some of the players as a good ultimate in the mid lane is going to prevent them from retreating, them being team standing this time around. 3 members in blue walking around. Xenotronics from the side. That Giannis is going to hit him, but a great use of the moves will prevent that. Perplexus gets a kill onto Giannis. That's the 3rd kill for the blue team. That's looking good. 5 on what looks like 3 right here in the middle lane is not a bad look. So Resist Gaming trying to make something happen.
Yeah, definitely trying on steroids, and of the worst are going onto the Sylvanas. Thor's up, and we've seen this bait before, coming down onto 2 on steroids, down to just 50 LE. He's not going to be able to heal through that. Hudat will find the kill with the DOT. Starking down Treble, and he's getting attacked by 3 as Pantheon is trading aggressively. He's got Shin size, which makes him very strong right now. Will disperse in trying to get past the creeps, but Apollo up in the air and out. This time it should be a Fire Giant. They lost Yanis instead of Sylvanas, which right now is better. This is the point where you don't want to give up your support because he is the hog to get the Fire Giant.
Exactly. So we're talking a little bit about supports and dying, and it's a very delicate game because you, as you said, supports aren't worth as much, especially when there's 6 deaths in. But if you are the only person dying for your team to get a deicide, that's a good death. If you're dying to prevent a objective secure, that's a good death. But at a certain point, 20 minutes on, more 25 minutes, I guess this game is a little accelerated. 25 minutes is when your support transitions from please, if you die, it's totally fine, to please, never die, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Because that Hog 3 is important. A lot of times you'll see that also the aggressors, Cret, a lot of times you hear, don't attack the support, you're wasting your time. But then around this time period, this is when you want to attack the support. Because you kill that guy, and if Soul Lane and Jungle don't have a Hog 3, which is a mistake, you just get free objectives because they can't execute it at 25%.
And Sylvanas is one of the most vulnerable supports, especially Hudak going to the Mystical Mail build. When you're ahead, it definitely can be worthwhile, and he's got pretty good... No, never mind, he doesn't. He doesn't have pretty good player damage, but can be worthwhile if you're ahead. It's just sort of a case of he is more pickable than other supports because he has no mobility whatsoever. So if you can catch him out, and this is a big part of why Odin has been picked up relatively recently, if you can catch out Sylvanas, you can kill Sylvanas.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the bigger things. Sylvanas seems to suffer from the problem that Ymir used to have. People used to complain about Ymir's lack of mobility, and Scylla not quite mobile enough, just barely missing the through space and time. Is Scylla dodging that so great? I don't know if that was a good play by Scylla, just a bad read coming out from the Giannis, but there's a stun onto Starkey. Level 11, level 0 as he's dead right there. Chaos takes him out. One more kill for the Thor at 6-0-11. Awesome to the max, providing a lot of damage with those basics. And up is Thor. Down is Thor on the Phoenix. Gonna stun out 2 different players. Nintendo takes on steroids without any questions, as ultimate coming out from Shock will also kill Xenotronics. Surrender vote has started. Phoenix is about to go down. 4 deaths the side of Team Blue, about 15,000 gold in the leads. Resist Gaming, they're not slowing down anytime soon. Immediately taking out the middle Phoenix, go to the right-hand side. They're looking for more.
Gonna be able to take down this left tower for sure. Titan is under a bit of pressure from the inevitable fire minions coming in, and now looking for the next Phoenix. This is maybe the last chance for Team Stand-In. Do have some players back up, but after this point, it's probably just going to be too much map pressure, and they won't be able to deal with Resist Gaming as left Phoenix does fall. There's only a tower and a Phoenix left. 24 minutes in, Resist Gaming is on the cusp of victory, on the cusp of finals. If they win this match, they win something, because prizing is top 3 for money, 4th for gems.
We'll go against Firemen to see how well they do. Firemen looking very strong with the addition of Shadow Q. Great mechanical player right there. So we'll see how that team will go forward. And I think finals is probably the best barometer we can get. Resist Gaming looks pretty good. I think there are some things they could clean up, but definitely a worthy opponent for Five Finger Men in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, can they weather the storm of the first 10 minutes of the game? Can they? Can anyone? Probably anyone can. Someone can, but it's definitely
Someone
hard.
somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe you, viewer. Maybe you could be the next competitive player. We'll see. Anyway, Of the worst in the soul lane. He's just trying to clear, trying to relieve some pressure, but he just used his dash to clear, and now he's going to die a horrible, horrible death. Rip.
Transcendence working out for Awesome the Max. His player damage really, really high, 15,000, leading his team, or just barely leading his, just barely not leading his team, 17,000 on the Thor. So trailing by a little bit. That said, Thor is 6-0 and 15. Thor has more kill participation than the support Sylvanas, so that's going to be a very big deal.
That kind of makes sense, honestly, considering
really
how mobile Thor is and how not mobile Sylvanas is. But yeah, I mean, he's been able to make plays without that. Ooh, all right, Blink Fist. I respect the attempt, but it only gets V's. And now engaging is Hudat. Now gonna be taking the tower. It will reset to Austin the Max here. No, resetting to Chaos. Tower is going to go down. Nintendude, good Aegis timing. On steroids, wants to get something, but he's just not tanky enough. Phoenix will go down. Of the worst has respawned. Not for long. Back to the side, back to the bench, and the Titan will fall here. Resist Gaming head to the finals.
28-3, 26 minutes, 26.5 minutes of regulation play coming out from Resist Gaming. They're going to take the win with over 20,000 gold in the lead. Just really, really strong play. Curious build out of the Chuck, but it worked. 919. Can't complain.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out. I'm not going to agree with it, but Resist Gaming have done very well, and I think they could take on 500 men and could get a win, if not two. Ooh. We'll certainly see. What?
Bold prediction right there. You think
could
two off of 500 men?
No. I said could.
So
it is possible.
So Cred has officially said that he
there
thinks that 500 men will lose
0% chance of them winning.
Cret thinks that Resist Gaming will win finals 2-0 above. That's what I heard.
Oh my god, I'm going to come to New York and I'm going to mess up your hair.
We'll see if Cred is correct and Resist Gaming wins 2-0 or 500 men can do better. It's the best of 3 coming up in your finals for the final weekly. $500 on the line for our $1,000 Hi-Rez Studios tournament. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.